There are good trades and there are bad trades. And when you get a trade offer like this, you better know Howie Roseman is going to stomp.
Dallas still stinks.
Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here, and you know why? I got to tell you this. I do not want to trade Haason Reddick. I have no desire to move him. It is not what I want to do. However, if this hypothetical trade would actually be proposed, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind Howie Roseman would not jump on this in a second. And you know what? I would have to jump on it too because it's just too good. Now, what am I talking about? We're going to talk about what I'm talking about in a second. But before I talk about what I'm going to talk about, I got to talk about what's going on right now. First, the Eagles and their wide receiver position is a very interesting one going into to the draft. Tom Pelissero says this. Veteran wide receiver Olimad Zacchaeus, I finally think I said his name right, but I probably screwed it up anyways, Oz, agreed to terms with the Pound Commanders per source. Why is Washington still using that stupid name Commanders? They should have changed it immediately. I rather them be called the No Names than the Commanders. I have a stupid name. But anyways, Oz is gone. He will not be returning. Now, I bring it up because there were some people who thought there was a possibility he could come back. He wasn't he wasn't awful last year. I actually think he didn't get a whole lot of opportunities. But he goes to the Commanders, and this leaves a giant question mark for what the Eagles are going to do at wide receiver. When I sit back and I think about it, I have two trains of thought. The first one, Devontae Parker and Paris Campbell, both guys that I'm not totally comfortable with as my solid number 3 wide receivers going into next year. I do actually think Paris Campbell is a slight upgrade over Quez Watkins, to be honest with you, but I still think that there's more to do. However, is the wide receiver position, is it a situation where because you now have Saquon Barkley and you only have so many balls to throw to, but you only have so many to go around that you really don't need a big, gigantic number 3 wide receiver, that Saquon Barkley essentially can be that number 3 because you know the Eagles are going to want to use him in the passing game. So could that mean that the Eagles, they really don't upgrade their wide receiver spot? That number 3 spot I'm talking about, because you have Saquon Barkley. Possibly. Then there's, the side of me that thinks this. You have Devontae Parker and you have Paris Campbell. Both those guys, they could go out, they can make plays, they could do what they have to do, I think, at bare minimum. But are you setting yourself up to go early wide receiver in the second round? Do you go, I don't know, if somebody like Ladd McConkey's there, Adonis Mitchell, you take a chance and trade up in the second round and then, maybe take a wide receiver, a guy who would come in and automatically be better than Devontae Parker and Campbell? Is that something you could do? I'm not sure exactly what the Eagles are thinking yet or how they're going to go about this. I kind of do feel like the Eagles, if given a choice, are going to draft a wide receiver early. Maybe not with the first, second, but I think they're going to go wide receiver within the first 3 rounds. I just do. I have that weird feeling. But at the end of the day, we'll find out. Now, the other thing I want to bring up is Andrew DeCecco reported earlier, and shout out to Jacob Sports for posting this. The Pound Eagles had a top 30 visit with Penn State edge rusher Chop Robinson earlier this month. So he came in earlier this month to the Eagles for a visit. He seems like a kind of guy to me that the Philadelphia Eagles would like, especially if you're going to trade Haason Reddick, which we're going to talk about in a second. However, there's a lot of people that don't think he's the guy, that thinks there's guys that are going to be better than him. But he's a guy to watch because If the Eagles trade Haason Reddick, I almost think that guarantees you that you're going to go out and you're going to draft an edge rusher. It just seems like you have no choice in the matter. So look for that as a possibility. And speaking of Reddick, we're starting to get reports that Haason Reddick may actually stay here. And we talked about him possibly staying here, that every day that goes by, it's one step closer. One step closer to Haason Reddick staying. Derek Gunn is reporting this. The Eagles are still deciding on what to do about the Haason Reddick situation. He still wants more money than the Eagles are willing to pay. As of now, he were to return to the Eagles, he would play for what his contract currently states. So, this is perfectly, in my opinion, leading up to exactly what people like me want. We want Haason Reddick to stay. I think the meat in the middle ground that the Eagles and Reddick are going to wind up taking is, I think the Eagles will restructure the final year of his contract. So they're not going to give him any extra years. They'll just restructure it and they'll give him more money so he's happy to play in the final year of his contract. Then you're going to get a very hungry Haason Reddick who knows that if he goes out there and has a big year, he is going to get some big money on the open market. Also, at the same time, this gives the Eagles another year to get Nolan Smith ready. This also lets us see what Bryce Huff could do and see that he can be that guy who will get you double-digit sacks more than 1 year in a row. Because you have to remember, he has only done it 1 year in a row. I really like the idea. I really think the best plan for the Eagles is restructure Reddick, get yourself $11 million in extra cap space, get Reddick to be at least content with playing out the final year of his contract, making some more money, and then getting those guys like Huff and Nolan Smith another year to be ready to take over. And then when you finish the year, Haason Reddick can walk. That's what I think the Eagles should do. That's a way better position than going out there and trying to trade Haason Reddick for a third-round pick. I don't believe you could get a second-round pick or higher for Haason Reddick. However, there are mock proposals out there that are saying the opposite. They're saying, no, you can get more for Haason Reddick. And this one I wanted to share with you guys. I'm not sure how much I believe that this is actually accurate, but I love throwing these out there to you guys, especially in the off season, because it's a good conversation starter, and it kind of makes you think maybe you're looking at something, or at least for me, maybe I'm looking at something the wrong way, the right way, especially when I hear your guys' opinions. But Word on the Birds wrote this: proposed Bleacher Report trade. Now, this was from Bleacher Report. The Eagles receive the number 30th overall pick. The Ravens receive Haason Reddick. Thoughts? So the Eagles essentially get a late first-round pick in this mock proposal. And it's just a proposal by Bleacher Report trying to think of a fair trade for Haason Reddick. But the Eagles would get a late first round, number 30, and the Ravens get Haason Reddick. I have to do this trade. I got to be honest with you. If the Eagles could get a first-round pick, a late first-round pick, as much as I love Reddick, as much as I say I want to keep Reddick 1 more year, the value is just too much. The value is too much. I'll have to take that first-round pick. So now I have 2 first-round picks. I have 2 second-round picks, and I'd have to do it. You just have to. It's too much value. I'll have to take a chance that Huff, that Nolan Smith are those guys that we drafted and signed to be, and I'd have to take a chance. For a first-round pick, I would do it. Second-round pick, I'm not all that interested in trading Reddick unless it's multiple picks, which is second round. But for a first-round pick, I would do it. What would I draft? I would probably get my 22nd pick and trade up, which we'll talk about in another video, trading up. But I would probably, with my first round pick at this point, if I was to trade Reddick and do this trade, I would draft an edge rusher with my first pick. My second first round pick, You could go linebacker, you could go wide receiver, you could go offensive line. There's a lot of ways that the Philadelphia Eagles could go. But to have 2 first-round picks in this draft, I would have to take it. This is something I would do. Now, I'm not overly thrilled about getting rid of Reddick, but if you're talking a first-round pick, I just think that you've got to take a chance at that point. There's just too much value in a first-round pick, especially for a guy that's 30 years old. That's just my thoughts about it. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section. I'm dying to know. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision, baby. We're all just living in it. So I've been getting a lot of questions about what's going on with the safety position. What's going on with the safety position? It's really quiet out there. It's really quiet right now in regards to Julian Blackmon and Justin Simmons. I think Justin Simmons may be in for the long haul. I think he may be a guy in a situation where you're going to have to sign him like late in camp or something like that. It just seems like that's the way this whole thing is going. So keep an eye out. But that's really the current situation with the safeties, and I don't think anything's going to get resolved anytime soon. If I had my choice, yeah, give me Julian Blackmon. I'll take him over Justin Simmons. Denzel Washington out.